sold-out United Supermarket Arena in Lubbock, Texas. Two of the most talented teams in the Big 12 matchup tonight. The Iowa State Cyclones, 2-2 in the league, come in a little desperate as they try to stop a two-game losing streak. They'll face the only remaining unbeaten team in the Big 12, the 8th-ranked Red Raiders of Texas Tech. As you see in the standings, Texas Tech can move it a full game ahead of Kansas with a win tonight. Meanwhile, Iowa State beat Kansas a week and a half ago, but they've lost to Baylor and K-State since. But an upset tonight gets them back on track. Hi again, everybody. Welcome to Lubbock, Texas, alongside my partner, Tim Welsh. I'm Clay Matvick, and it feels a little like March basketball in this arena here tonight. And we're going to see two great teams. Iowa State, one of the best offenses in the country, and Texas Tech, one of the best defenses in the nation.
There's no doubt, and the talent is all over the floor, especially on the offensive end of the floor. And Iowa State struggling on offense in their last game against K-State, just couldn't close it out. Now back-to-back losses, playing with a little bit of desperation tonight on the road in a big venue against a top 10 team.
We should also see a really good personal matchup between Shayok and Culver, two of the top 3 scorers in the Big 12.
Two of the best small forwards in all of America, and I'm not kidding you. These guys are a pleasure to watch. They can get up and down the floor, and Jared Culver has come out of nowhere basically to take over this team, bring them back into the top 10. They were picked towards the bottom of this league, and he has just lifted them back to elite status after getting the Elite 8 a year ago. He puts the team on his back. He goes and gets buckets, and this man, the transfer from Virginia, Mariel Shayok, he came to Iowa State to be a primetime player, just a role player at Virginia, but he is anything but that here. He is a deluxe scorer from the perimeter. He drives to the rim. He's got to get to the free throw line. The last couple games, he hasn't been able to get to the line. He's got to try to force the issue tonight.
And Shayok leads the Big 12 in scoring, and he's had only one game where he hasn't scored in double figures, but that was the last game, the loss against K-State. The Cyclones need him tonight if they're going to pull an upset on the road. Iowa State has won 5 of the last 7 meetings in this building, but it's going to be hostile in here tonight. Iowa State, number 8 Texas Tech coming up next. This place is fired up, literally and figuratively. We are ready for Iowa State at number 8 Texas Tech. The Red Raiders under third-year head coach Chris Beard. They got the team to 27 wins in the program's first Elite 8 last year. He shared Big 12 Coach of the Year with Bill Self a season ago. He was telling you and I, Tim, that he expects Iowa State to have its best game of the year here tonight. They are taking nothing for granted. They know the Clones are wounded, but they know they're going to get a fight.
Well, Iowa State playing with a little bit of desperation coming off those back-to-back losses. A huge win over Kansas at home, and then the bubble burst a little bit. So you got to be careful in this conference. You don't want to go on a long losing streak because it's hard to dig back out. But this is going to be a tough task tonight for a very good Iowa State team playing a really stingy defensive team in Texas Tech.
Steve Prohm is in his 4th year as the Cyclones head coach. A couple of NCAA tournaments and a Sweet 16 in his first 2 seasons. I guess it was a rebuilding year last year after that good start in Ames. He's brought in some newcomers. He's got some terrific freshmen. And this is a team that still is going to factor in the Big 12 race.
Well, they haven't hit their peak yet. There's no doubt about it because they're trying to get their chemistry right. They've put all the injuries, guys in, guys out, coming back. Then you lose a guy here and there. So it's hard to get into a good flow. And this is not the Iowa State team that we'll see later in the season if they get healthy. They've got a lot of talented offensive players, and sometimes they'll go 4 guards around the big guy, Jacobson, down on the blocks.
Iowa State in their road cardinal and gold. Texas Tech in the home white. And the Red Raiders control the opening tip. Texas Tech starting 2 senior transfers, Owens and Mooney. And this is Matt Mooney. They tend to shoot. We'll kick it out to the other transfer, Tariq Owens. 5 on the shot clock for Jared Culver. 3rd leading scorer in the Big 12. Tough shot.
Everybody raves about Texas Tech's defense, but Iowa State can guard. They are very good defensively. Forced 24 turnovers in their win against Kansas.
Iowa State starting a couple of freshmen and 2 transfers as well. And they're empty on their first possession. Culver going strong and travel.
Steve Prohm is up and at him early into the official's ears, and he thought that Culver carried the ball in the first possession, and you can see how focused Iowa State is. They had a very intense shoot around earlier today. They need to move the ball, space it, and get it going from side to side, and then attack. That basically a pack line defense for Texas Tech.
Mario Shayok, his first field goal attempt, and he buries it. And Iowa State's on the board first.
Well, that's why he is so good and so tough. He's got that long length, not only off the bounce, but the ability to step back and shoot that nice soft touch from the outside.
Nice shot fake by Davide Moretti. Left it a little short. Odiase, the stick back on the backside.
Odiase just basically push Jacobson right under the rim and just use that force.
Trying to answer back Weiler Babb on the other side of the floor.
Quick shot, and that's what Steve Prohm talked about. He said we have to move the ball quicker and we have to cut harder than we did in the last game against Kansas State.
Culver, tough pass for Mooney, who couldn't handle it. And Texas Tech will give it back to Iowa State. Steve Prohm called this the toughest two-week stretch of the season for his club. They host Oklahoma State on Saturday. Then they get trips to Kansas for Big Monday and Ole Miss. That'll be a tough out-of-conference game.
There's no doubt. He said they learned a lot in the Kansas State game. They didn't close it out. They thought they had control of the game in the last 4 minutes. They just stopped scoring. And Mario Shayok, he said they really did a great job on him, but he has to understand from that game you have to cut hard because you're going to get everybody's best shot defensively.
There's Halliburton, one of the biggest surprises in the Big 12 this year. He was expected to redshirt before the season, but Wigginton got hurt. Lindell Wigginton is healthy now, but hasn't started since his return. And Mooney scores for Texas Tech.
Well, there you see Halliburton, a terrific player, but only weighs 172 pounds. And sometimes off the bounce, playing a stronger player will get beat to the rim.
Grad transfer from South Dakota. Great first year in the Big 12. Tipped around, rebound Odiase, and he'll clear it for the Raiders.
Odiase making his presence felt early in this game with some toughness in the lane.
Culver gets his own miss. Good touch on the putback.
Well, we talked about that matchup, he and Shayok, and he is taking the ball right at Shayok and seeing if he's going to stop him or put his body in front. So far, Culver on the move.
Jacobson for three. The Nebraska transfer misses. And the top scoring team in the Big 12 having a tough time so far. Culver to the corner. Mooney wide open.
Well, he missed that shot, but I tell you what, Iowa State's got to make some adjustment because Jared Culver is getting anything he wants off the bounce.
It's Nick Weiler Babb. He was the only Cyclone in double figures against Kansas State the other day. He had 11. And he'll stay with Iowa State with 13 on the shot clock. A couple of substitutions for Texas Tech. But how about Culver taking it to Shayok? It's going to be a great matchup all night.
Well, he's not really ready to defend him. He anticipates the high screen. He refuses the screen and just takes him off the bounce. And Shayok's got to defend him a little bit farther out on the floor, try to push him to the sideline.
Cold start for Iowa State. 1 of 6 from the field so far, Tim.
That's some open looks, but against this defense, you're going to get some open looks from the outside, but going to the rim is going to be tough.
There's Jacobson. Nice spin around Culver to get to the rack.
And a little bit of a mismatch. Iowa State, good job identifying the size mismatch on the box, and Jacobson, the good quick move to the rim.
How good has he been since getting a chance here at Iowa State after the transfer? He started every game for the Clones. That rims out for Brandon Francis, and Jacobson controls the rebound. Weiler Babb drives, kicks. And contact underneath and a timeout with 15:40 to play here in the first half. Texas Tech leading by 2 here at home.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball, and State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM.
Iowa State got out to that 2-0 start in the Big 12, including the 17-point upset of Kansas. They jumped to number 20 in the polls. It was their biggest win over Kansas since '73 and the largest margin of victory over a top 5 team in program history. But Steve Prohm's team has lost 2 straight since. You can see, though, that Iowa State, according to ESPN BPI, has a 7% chance to at least win a share of the Big 12. Texas Tech, maybe this is the year someone other than Kansas wins it.
We've said that for many years, and somehow it doesn't happen. I'm sure Bill Self will take that clip tonight, and it'll be in their video file for when they come here in February, and certainly looking forward to that. But listen, you can't say enough about what Chris Beard's done with this program, vaulting them into the top 10 basically after losing pretty much everybody but Culver that mattered a year ago, but they retooled and they have a superstar in Culver.
Coming off that 4-point win in Austin on Saturday. That 3 from the corner by Shayok.
Well, that's a very important piece of Iowa State's offense. They're going to space the court, and Texas Tech will allow you to reverse the ball. They're not going to deny you, but they're going to take away the drives into the middle, and you have to kick it.
Francis has missed 2 from there now.
Look at the spacing for Iowa State. 5 players outside the 3-point line.
Jacobson. Here's Tariq Owens, the St. John's transfer. He's made a big impact for Texas Tech.
He's a veteran player from Tennessee, then St. John's, and gives him that ability to score from the outside and also a rim protector.
And he could shoot, too. He was strong that time. And Horton Tucker, the big-time recruit out of Chicago, with the rebound for Iowa State. One of the top-scoring freshmen in the Big 12, Horton Tucker, I should say. And now going to get some substitutions again as Mooney comes back in for the Red Raiders. And we're going to see our first appearance of Lindell Wigginton, 6th game back from a foot injury. Like I said, he was a starter, was a superstar in his freshman year last season. But he's been coming off the bench for Steve Prohm since he's gotten healthy.
Well, he's healthy, but you know, with Halliburton having the season he's had so far, it's hard to disrupt this chemistry of the starting group. So Wigginton's still trying to fit in to that new role this season, and it'll be important tonight because you have to break the defense down. Here, Texas Tech, they'll do this. They'll go zone, and at the end of the clock, they'll switch back to man-to-man.
Shot clock under 10. There's Weiler-Babb around the pick from Condit, and he got it. The 3 goes in for Nick Weiler-Babb.
Very important. Space the court, take your time, be patient, attack the gaps, then make the extra pass when you see that 2nd and 3rd defender.
So Iowa State with a 4-point lead. Mooney misses the layup.
Wigginton just got out of his stance, and Mooney with the blow-by, but the miss.
Shayok, another 3 contested over Edwards on stretch hand, and he got it.
Oh, nice screen on a perimeter, back-to-back screens for George Condit, the big freshman that they love at Iowa State. Getting the minutes now tonight. Cam Ward with that ankle injury.
Culver hits the 3 to end the 11-0 run.
Well, that's basically being unguardable if he's going to knock down that shot with consistency, because off the bounce there's not many better than Jarrett Culver.
Now Wigginton finds Shayok again open in the corner. This time he comes up empty.
A good ball movement, though. The extra pass by Iowa State.
Culver draws the defense, gets it to Moretti. Edwards, nice pass to Owens in the finish. Boy, that was a pretty look.
Halliburton was there, but he kind of bailed out on the play instead of staying home with the backside help, and Owens took advantage.
Kyler Edwards, the 4-star recruit out of Arlington, Texas, and Findlay Prep in Nevada. What a start to this one. Oh, tough shot for Nick Weiler-Babb. He's got 5 here early.
This is what Iowa State needs. They need to make that medium to long jumper tonight against this stingy defense that takes away the paint.
Edwards. And how about Owens returning the favor that time?
That's what they do, is really great ball movement, player movement, and spacing. And you better have your head on a swivel because they are constantly cutting to the rim.
Under 11 minutes to go here in the first half. 2-point lead for Iowa State. As Culver attacks. We're tied up.
Well, Jared Culver, 38% from the three-point line, so you got to respect that. But if you don't guard him and do your work early, he is going to do that. Just take it and put it in your face.
7 points, 4 rebounds already for Culver, who leads the team in both of those categories, plus assists. Shayok. Wiggins back for Shayok on the backside, and he got it.
Another unselfish play for Iowa State. Just tremendous ball movement and finding the open man right at the rim.
And Shayok, who leads the Big 12 in scoring with over 19 points per game, already in double figures. His 16th game in double figures. Now we got a timeout with 10:06 to go here in the first half. It is 17-15 Iowa State. And when we come back, we'll talk more about this Culver-Shayok matchup here in Lubbock. A great one in the Big 12. Back in a moment.
Is that the two best players deliver early and often, but tonight it is as advertised with Mariel Shayok and Jared Culver. 17 points right out of the gate with an array of moves, jump shots, up and down the floor. Athleticism, Culver off the bounce, getting to the rim, using the ball screens, finding the angles to the rim. 3-point shot there as well, and these two guys are hard to guard.
2-point lead for Iowa State. Not anymore. It's tied up at 17 after Mooney floats that one in.
Both teams in a real good flow right now offensively and sharing the basketball.
Condon has it rejected by Tariq Owens, and then there's a foul underneath that goes against Texas Tech.
You know, Rick Crawford pointed to the restricted arc, and it looked like Owens on the help. Kind of Mooney did not get his feet set on the outside. Owens got beat, but just left the floor, and his left foot was just grazing that arc.
Capacity crowd here in Lubbock doesn't like it.
That's the beautiful Clay Matvick man cave screen here up above, and the fans didn't agree with that one.
I would like a screen that big. So George Condon, the true freshman from Chicago, is at the line for Iowa State. 6'10" rookie. He has played a bigger role here recently for the Clones because Cameron Lard has been dealing with an injury. And Solomon Young is out for the remainder of the year. They're a little thin in the post, Tim.
Well, they are, and you know, Lard is important because he's a guy they can throw the ball to down in the box. Kind of gives them a guy 4-around-1 they can go to at the end of the clock if they're stuck on the perimeter.
Texas Tech 43-4 at home under Chris Beard. Attendance has been great since he got here. Has a really good relationship with the fan base. We're going to talk more about that later. As Odiasi backs in on Condon and scores. Boy, he is giving Chris Beard really good minutes early.
Well, that's a senior versus a freshman right there, and he just kind of pounded Condon. They're not going to send the double team at Odiasi, but looking really aggressive offensively tonight.
He's hit his first 2 shots. He was 1 of 7 in Austin. Texas Tech able to beat the Longhorns for the first time in 22 games in Austin on Saturday. Here's Wigginton for 3. Off the iron. Loose ball picked up by Mooney.
A little bit of a quick trigger. Wigginton was not open. Forced the shot.
Culver. Another great shot fake by Moretti. Got it. Well, that's a home court bounce.
Well, they don't just eat macaroni over in Italy. They work on its fundamentals. That is ball fake, shot fake, great footwork from Moretti.
He's had 4 straight games in double figures. And Horton Tucker can't deliver for Iowa State.
Moretti, I'm so impressed with his poise and improvement this season.
Francis with the left hand. On the break. And what a reverse for Horton Tucker.
And they need to get him going. He's been a bit of a slump since the Big 12 started. He can do that finish with toughness at the rim.
Yeah, we said before, top scoring freshman in the Big 12, but he hasn't scored in double figures yet in league play. Moretti, what a move!
And not only from the perimeter, he's got a little footwork down in the box as well.
Davide Moretti put in so much work this offseason. Chris Beard said he learned a lot from Keenan Evans watching him play last year, and now Moretti is one of the leaders for this Red Raiders team.
Davide Moretti with the footwork. Esta bene. Beautiful in Italian.
A star-studded Saturday full of NBA, college hoops, and UFC on ESPN, ESPN Plus, and ABC.
What a great Saturday. NBA and college basketball, and then all leading up to the UFC fight on ESPN Plus at the end of the night. Cejudo and Dillashaw. Who do you got, Tim?
It's going to be a battle.
You're not the best analyst in the league for nothing. And Shayak hits again from the corner.
I like the reach of Dillashaw. I always go with the guy with the reach.
Boy, how about Shayak living up to the billing? We hyped him up before the game, and he's been absolutely terrific here tonight so far. And Culver hasn't been too shabby either. He draws contact. He'll get to the line.
Well, that's what Steve Prohm talked about earlier today. He just said Mariel it's a learning experience. You know, you go through this league, and the coaches are just out of this world great at preparing and taking away what you do best, and that's what Kansas State did. They did a great job on Mariel Shayak, and you know, if you don't move against good defenses and cut hard, you're not going to score. And you see tonight, he is really sliding and moving to a lot. He's scored on an array of different spots on the floor because he is constantly moving and cutting hard.
Tariq Owens back into the game for the Red Raiders. Again, he came in as a transfer for Chris Beard, who has done a great job assembling this team this year. You talked about some of the star power they lost from a year ago. Keenan Evans, Zaire Smith, both in the NBA. 5 of their top 6 scorers from that Elite 8 team gone. And yet here they are undefeated in the early Big 12 season, 15-1 on the year.
Well, basically they were an afterthought coming into the year as far as in this conference if they were going to be a player. But you see the development of Moretti. Obviously Culver's become a star. Owens has helped. Mooney tremendously has helped, just as another mature veteran player out there on the floor.
And Matt Mooney just picked up his second foul. And Wigginton will go to the line for Iowa State. Jared Culver, you see his numbers, and another guy who has just shot up from a year ago.
You watched this program with Chris Beard, and the thing that I've been impressed the most, there's a lot to be impressed with, but the player development from one year to the next. You saw it last year, and just the off season, the commitment to the process, as he calls it, and you know, the 4-to-1 theory that he has, to the mental approach, you know, the team buy-in. I mean, all coaches try to get that, but it's how you go about getting there, and Chris Beard seems to have found that formula.
Iowa State, top free throw shooting team in the Big 12, as Wigginton gets them both. We're tied up at 25. Under 7 to play here, first half. Here's Brandon Francis. Florida transfer. Senior kicks it out to the corner. Edwards thought about it. Now he's got 5 to shoot. Better do something. Moves in on Wigginton. Got a closer look and nailed it.
Well, that's tough for Steve Prohm to stomach because his team played excellent defense for basically the entire shot clock. But nice play off the bounce by the freshman, Edwards.
Edwards is 2 for 2 from the field. Halliburton. Into the corner for Wigginton. Halliburton, deep 3. And he hits the lip. Well, so far for Tyrese Halliburton, nothing on the scoreboard. He is not a big scorer anyway, but he has been very good, averaging about 8 points per game for Iowa State in his freshman season.
He just makes winning plays, just like that man is making winning plays every night for Texas Tech. Just another tough move to the rim, but using the left.
Culver's in double figures now for the Red Raiders. Lead is 4. Wigginton steps into a 3. Jacobson with the rebound. Wigginton goes right back to the hoop. No good. Jacobson fouled going back for the stick back.
That was a great move to the rim by Wigginton and got all the way there. But there you see the importance and the effectiveness of Owens. Just kind of altered the shot at the rim, but Texas Tech did not do a good job of finishing the playoff.
I'll tip off your weekend with our NBA Friday doubleheader at 8 Eastern at Spurs Timberwolves. And we're off to Staples Center for the Clippers hosting Steph, KD, and the Warriors. Coverage begins with NBA Countdown at 7 on ESPN.
Warriors were okay last night. 51 points in the first quarter, NBA record. And Steve Kerr said it was beautiful, beautiful basketball. Not bad on the road. They had the #1 seed in the conference, the Nuggets, last night.
Kayvon Moore has got on the floor for Texas Tech. It's his career debut for the Red Raiders. Crowd took notice. Horton Tucker, coast to coast. Nobody could slow him down.
They didn't do a good job of identifying and matching up in transition. They seemed a little confused of who was picking up the ball, and the door opened, and Horton Tucker took advantage.
4th youngest player in Division I, turned 18 in November. He's got a bright future for Iowa State. The lob from Culver to Owens, a little off the mark, and Owens holding his shoulder coming back down the floor.
Very good spacing on that play by Texas Tech. Unusual offense for them, forcing the issue.
Horton Tucker off balance. And he'll go to the line. A foul on Kyler Edwards. You can see Owens nicked up. That's a guy they can't afford to lose.
Now, sometimes you get banged up in there and it doesn't look like much, but you get that direct hit to the shoulder and it is painful.
Talked about the free throw shooting for Iowa State at 72%. Tops in the league, but been struggling lately.
Pick and roll, kind of a loose pass, and Owens gets banged up with Jacobson on the follow-up.
Horton Tucker misses both. Iowa State went 6 of 12 at the line against K-State on the weekend. Part of the reason is they weren't able to pull out the victory. Here's Moore. Wide open is Mooney. Wigginton, 2-on-1 with Shayok. Wigginton, what an adjustment to get that up and in.
I was about to say, not a good decision by Shayok. There's really nothing there, and he just kind of flipped it up in the air. And you can see Wigginton, the ability to finish in a flurry.
He had a great season a year ago, coming off injury. And he gets the rebound here. 4 points for Wigginton, looking for more. And he'll go to the line again. Timeout here in Lubbock. 3:14 to play in the half. Iowa State leading on the road.
Well, they are sharing it, attacking, and finishing. High degree of difficulty. Wigginton.
Iowa State trying to end a 2-game losing streak here tonight. Have a 2-point lead, 3:14 before half. You see Lindell Wigginton, the sophomore from Nova Scotia, his 6th game back from a foot injury. Still adjusting to his role coming off the bench.
24 minutes a game. He was big in their win on the road against Oklahoma State. Not so big in their win against Kansas. So seriously, I mean, you go from being their main guy a year ago, a guy that looked at possibly going into the draft, to coming off the bench. So it is an adjustment, and that's where you earn your money as a coach. I mean, not on the practice court, not during the game, sometimes in those little private meetings with your players, trying to get them to buy into what you're doing. And you have to, because they've got a better team this year. They've got better players out there on the floor, so he's not going to be the absolute focal point as he was a year ago. But you see how important he can be and is to Iowa State.
Iowa State has missed a lot of games to injuries this year. Cameron Lard's still out, because we haven't seen him yet anyways. He did not play over the weekend. I guess he is available tonight. Whether we see him or not, we'll find out. Davide Moretti continues to have a terrific first half.
Well, that's way too easy, though, Clay. They've got to stop his dribble penetration out on the right. They can't be letting the point guard dribble from the three-point line all the way to the rim.
That is why Iowa State is the #2 offense in the Big 12.
Well, they can space it and they share it. That's the important thing. They have guys that can really make plays, but also they're very unselfish.
6 points for Jacobson. He averaged 5 points and 5 rebounds at Nebraska. Sat out last year. One of the transfers making a nice impact for Iowa State. Now Wigginton off the steal. Going against Culver. Waits, has it slapped by Odiase. Got it back out to Jacobson. Now Wigginton for 3. In and out. Now we get a foul on Texas Tech underneath.
Shayok just got thrown to the floor, I think, by Odiase down low. And Shayok had the good position after the missed shot and the offensive rebound. Wigginton not shy, just feeling it tonight, just being very aggressive. But Shayok doing his work on the glass. Some physical play going on inside, and Shayok just comes running in from the outside, and Francis doesn't do a good job of kind of pinning him out. Lets him get that inside position. Had to foul him.
Yeah, it's first personal on Francis. (37-31). Iowa State the lead here on the road. Bad pass by Culver. Horton Tucker with the steal. And Iowa State will keep it. Under 2 minutes to go in the half.
Culver just left the floor, and he's done that a couple times. Just jumped up in the air and with nowhere to go, no real purpose, and that's the second time he's turned it over.
Iowa State has yet to turn it over here in the half. They've had 12 or fewer in the last 6 games. Real credit to the guy who's got the ball now, Nick Weiler-Babb. Also Tyrese Halliburton, freshman, is leading the league in assisted turnover ratio. He's not on the floor now.
Well, you know a team's a good offensive team when they have almost 100 more assists and turnovers on the season as a team.
Culver has it blocked by Nick Weiler-Babb. Now a 2-on-1 back the other way. Horton Tucker, the finger roll finish.
Ooh, Horton Tucker aggressive in transition, and Weiler-Babb, the rim protector.
Now Horton Tucker coming out of his scoring funk that you talked about, it seems.
Another one of those good-looking freshmen for Steve Prohm. He's got 3 keepers.
14-2 run. Owens puts that to bed. But this is the style of game that Chris Beard wanted to avoid, an up-and-down affair.
It's hard to avoid it when Iowa State's making plays on the offensive end, and then they've come to guard tonight as well.
Here's Jacobson from the short corner. You bet. Michael Jacobson.
That's his game. He has good post moves, but his game is that medium range jumper. You see the smooth touch.
This is familiar territory for Texas Tech. They've trailed in 3 of the 4 Big 12 games at the half this year. They will again. And a 1-second differential between game and shot clock. Culver. And he's fouled by Weiler-Babb. And so with 4 seconds to play, it'll be an inbound here in the front court.
Well, that's the mark of a well-coached team and a smart player, Nick Weiler-Babb. He knew they had fouls to give. They only had 2 team fouls to that point, so they were not going to let Texas Tech run to the rim, and there's another one.
That's on Jacobson. That's his second. This is the most points that Texas Tech has allowed in a half this season.
They're going to put Babbitt in. He may give a foul himself if the ball comes into the lane.
Mooney gets it in. Finds Culver. 1 second. Got the shot off. Half comes to an end. 41-33 at the break. Iowa State goes on a 16-4 run. After the break, it's back to the studio. Chris Cotter and company for the halftime report. 41-33 at the break here in Lubbock. The Iowa State team that put a whooping on Kansas. They got a nice lead at the half. 41 points allowed by Texas Tech. That's the season high for the Red Raiders. Cyclones ended the half on a 16-4 run and did not turn it over in the first 20 minutes, Tim.
And Clay, they closed out the Kansas game, but they did not close out 2 games where they had the lead late against Baylor and Kansas State in their last 2 losses. So Steve Prohm just said that today. We have to be smarter down the stretch, close games out, be effective on defense, and really, really smart on offense.
Here's Mariel Shayok, the leading scorer in the Big 12. He had 15 in the first half. Nice bounce pass to Jacobson, blocked by Tariq Owens.
Well, good to see Owens back in the game after he went out with that bruised shoulder, but he looked fine right there.
Odiase trying to tip in his own miss. Weiler-Babb will track it down for the Cyclones in the corner.
Odiase just a little bit off balance under the rim.
Odiase 4 points in the first half. Horton Tucker on the floor looking for a timeout. Jump ball called. And possession arrow is going to give it to Texas Tech. Well, Steve Prohm knows how to pull top 10 upsets. He's done it before. 3rd most in program history with 6. Of course, the Kansas upset. And Iowa State as a program has been hot in recent years. They have 29, I should say, top 25 wins in the last 5 years.
Well, last year was the off year with all the injuries, but the help was coming and on the way. And a year ago, no wins on the road, and they look razor sharp tonight so far. But in the last possession, Horton Tucker did something they did not do in the first half. Over dribbled against this tight Texas Tech defense.
Nick Weiler-Babb, 5 points in the first half. He'll bring it back and set it up for the Cyclones. Weiler-Babb right around Owens and lays it in.
Well, that's what you have to do against this defense. You have to change sides of the floor, get the defense on the move, and then attack before the weak side comes to help.
Texas Tech has 1 loss this year. It's to #1 Duke almost a month ago at Madison Square Garden. They were #1 at the time. And Texas Tech led that game in the second half. And Brandon Francis nails his first field goal.
Well, excellent offense, a little roll and replace. They went back to the weak side as the weak side was in the paint helping on the roll man, and good presence of mind by Moretti to find the open man on the weak side.
Now Horton Tucker is mugged underneath. That's going to be on Owens, his first.
Well, Taylor Horton Tucker has been force tonight in transition and in the half court, an array of moves and just powerful to the rim. Looked like all ball on Owens.
Tough shooting free throws into the student section. First day back for the students here at Texas Tech. Showed up in fine form tonight.
Sorry, Clay, but again with this beautiful high-def screen, you get the replays, and these officials get no breaks, man, because you can see clearly that Owens got all ball.
When Tucker gets the bounce, he's got 7 points. 44-36 Iowa State. Davide Moretti. Nice drive. Can't get it to go.
He got all the way to the rim, but good job by Halliburton, just kind of hanging with him on his hip.
Tipped out of bounds. It'll stay with the Clones.
Moretti had the angle, but Halliburton just kind of trailed him a little bit, but with those long arms at 6'5", just presented enough trouble and contest at the rim for Moretti to miss.
This could be the biggest crowd that the Cyclones have played in front of this season. They haven't announced it yet, but we know capacity here is well over 15,000. There's a turnover, and the Red Raiders will get it back. You know, this is a tough, loud environment when it's full, and it is tonight.
Tough ticket in Lubbock these days after the Elite Eight run a year ago, and they have caught on to this program, especially with the local guy, Culver, doing great things.
Product of Coronado High School here in town. Francis doesn't get that two-pointer to go. Horton Tucker. Quick outlook pass to Shayok. Wastes no time launching.
That was a good look by Shayok, and he got Edwards back on his heels, backing up, so he just pulled up from the wing, and that time Texas Tech fortunate that Mayock didn't deliver. Shaq's done a good job of just finding different spots on the floor, Mariel Shaq, of just moving without the ball, and then he's got that quick release, and he's hard to defend because he gets you off balance at 6'6".
Spin there by Culver. How did he get that back? Got a couple of cracks at it. Iowa State well defended. Weiler Babb. Again for Shayok. He goes to work. Halliburton scoreless in the first half. Jacobson, crowd wanted to travel. Again, they don't get their way.
A little Texas three-step by Jacobson. Got away with the shuffle. No one looking at the feet.
Double-figure scoring night for Jacobson. It's a 10-point lead for Iowa State. Foul away from the ball. That goes in. Count it.
I don't know how they count that basket, but everybody here in Lubbock says this is what we needed. On the perimeter, you see Jacobson. He just levels the man, and before the shot goes up, but they count it from the corner.
Brandon Francis for Texas Tech is given the three, and then there's a foul away from the ball on Jacobson for Iowa State. That's his third person.
Well, Jacobson clearly fouls Culver before Brandon Francis gets the ball. That shot should not have counted. It should have just been baseline out of bounds for Texas Tech.
Weiler Babb for three.
Iowa State's got to be careful because Texas Tech in a pretty good flow offensively, and Iowa State taking quick shots.
Mooney.
And that's usually what happens, Clay. You take quick shots, and good basketball teams are going to make you pay at the other end before you can get back and get matched up.
The lead is now 5 for Iowa State. Here come the Red Raiders.
Consecutive bad possessions for Iowa State, not moving the ball from side to side. Jared Culver off the bounce. This is what he does best. He just squares you up and then just attacks one of your hips and has that ability to finish with either hand in traffic, gets all the way, and the foul.
And Shayok the rebound. So Iowa State with a 3-point lead under 15 to go. Scoreless night for Halliburton. His skip pass. Clones work the perimeter. Now they're going to reset.
A lot of standing around by Iowa State.
Weiler-Babb hits it. Well defended. But Nick Weiler-Babb hit a couple shots like that here tonight. He's got 4 in the second half.
A little size advantage. That time Matt Mooney kind of backed up and didn't contest.
Now George Condit with his first foul of the night.
Steve Prohm saw the kind of stale offensive sets on back-to-back possessions and quickly inserted Wigginton into the game.
Here's Halliburton in free flight. Got it. Tyrese Halliburton. First points.
Great awareness by Iowa State. Just a hit ahead off after the turnover. And Halliburton, you can see that ability just to glide.
Under the radar recruit out of Oshkosh North High School in Wisconsin. And he is smooth. Not very heavy, 172, and I think that's generous.
You don't have to be heavy when you can run and elevate like this at the rim.
That might be the only knock on the young man. 6'5", 172. They want to get some weight on him. Want to get him in the training table, the weight room.
We got some good ribeye steaks and Ames. We've been there before, and I'm sure you'll see a beefed up Halliburton next year. But 66 assists, 14 turnovers on the season. Amazing.
Reddy's been quiet here in the second half. 7 in the first half over Halliburton. Arcing shot doesn't go.
Terrific defense by Tyrese on that possession. Just would not relent to Moretti.
Now here comes the crowd again. 5 to shoot. Shayok. Nice hook shot in the lane.
Again, another spot on the floor. Put the X down. Circle it. Shayok moving without the ball. Tremendous ability to cut, use screens, and find an angle.
He's got 17 now. He's got 7 20-point games this year. He's a role player at Virginia. Now a star for Iowa State. Moretti. The bounce pass to Odiasi broken up. And with 8 on the shot clock, Texas Tech will keep it. Well, it's an SEC ACC doubleheader Saturday on ESPN at 4. Number 12 Kentucky heads to the Plains to take on Auburn. Then Duke and Zion hosting a top 4 matchup at Cameron against the Cavaliers in our Sonic Blockbuster. Saturday primetime presented by H&R Block. Duke, of course, coming off an upset loss to Syracuse. Shayok again. And contact underneath. This is going to go against the Red Raiders. And it's on Mooney. That's the 3rd on Matt Mooney. Well, Virginia, the one team in the country that can claim to have a better defense than Texas Tech. And they're going to give Duke all they can handle.
Well, they've always had a great defense under Tony Bennett, but this year they've got some offensive firepower. Already in 4 ACC games have scored over 80 twice, and they haven't done that in the last 5 years. Scored 80 once. So Kyle Guy, DeAndre Hunter, Ty Jerome, those 3 gentlemen can score.
We've been talking a lot about Zion Williamson, and rightly so this year for Duke, but Trey Jones, he has proven to be very valuable for Duke. They were lost without him after he went down with the injury.
Yeah, they were, but give Syracuse all the credit in the world. Going on the road and winning in that building. 17-point underdogs, as Jim Boeheim pointed out to his team before the game.
Halliburton with an athletic block on one end. Iowa State can't capitalize on the other. Now Culver. We'll give it to Edwards. Edwards driving the left hand, can't get it to go, and he'll get a trip to the line.
Iowa State just did not get back and match up and do their work early, and they've extended this lead by doing just that, getting out and attacking, not letting Texas Tech attack. And there you see the mismatch. Good job by Kyler Edwards identifying that he had the big center Condit on him on the perimeter.
Edwards, the true freshman out of Arlington, Texas, turned down Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech, Butler, among others. Trying to end a 6-0 Iowa State run. The Clones have lost their last two. But one of the better teams in the Big 12, no doubt. We know that because this team beat Kansas about 11 days ago. Shayok trying to control it. Turned it over. Moretti for three. You bet.
Oh, great job by Chris Beard through a little sneak attack press. Iowa State did not handle it. Weiler Babb unusually loose with the ball, kind of a soft pass. Texas Tech ate it up. You know, the formula for winning on the road against a top 10 team is move the ball, share it, take some time off the clock. Right now, Texas Tech has a little momentum because of bad offense by Iowa State. And this man, Davide Moretti, scored inside early, can make it happen from the perimeter. The footwork, the poise from the sophomore from Bologna.
Second best scoring defense in the country, allowing 54 points per game. Iowa State's already hung 52 and a lot of game left.
Iowa State averages 80, and you know, when you can pass the ball as well as Iowa State does, and then you add in a Wigington who can really break you down off the bounce, you've got to do your work early. And right now, Texas Tech is feeling their oats a little bit because of the fact they are starting to guard a little bit better and attacking in transition.
6-point lead for Iowa State, trying to upset number 8 Texas Tech here in Lubbock. Edwards, who's getting a lot of playing time tonight, can't hit it, but Owens does.
Now he made that happen though, because he drew the defender to the rim, and on the backside coverage, Iowa State did not roll down and block out. Owens was wide open and available.
Tyrese Halliburton to Shayok, who's been spectacular. Not this time.
That's what he does. That's a good move on the wing. Just a little short, but he creates that space off the bounce.
Kyler Edwards spinning, looking for help. Finds Moretti. He's hit that shot. Comes up empty on that trip. This is the game Iowa State wants to play, and Condon with the two-hand flush.
Now started though by Wigington with the great backside rebound, and then the pitch ahead up the court to the open man. Iowa State had the numbers.
First field goal for the freshman here tonight. Big basket for the Cyclones. The lead goes back to 6. They've led by as many as 10 here tonight. Culver's been quiet here in the second half. He had 10 at the break. Lost it at his feet. And it's another Texas Tech turnover.
A little impatience. Jared Culver's done that a few times tonight. Just tried to attack too early in the clock against a set defense. And Iowa State is sending that second defender at him, taking those lanes away to the rim.
All in all, it's been a good night tonight for Culver. 12 points, 12 rebounds. His second double-double. But they need him to start taking charge. Edwards lopes into the front court. Moretti. And Chris Beard shouting instructions from the sideline, turning red doing it.
Well, he's begging his team just to move the ball. They're stagnant right now. They're standing. The ball's not shifting from side to side, and they're not getting good player movement.
Swims in for Kyler Edwards from 3.
Well, they have to be aware. That's what Edwards does. 52% on the season from the 3. They've got to close them out a lot tighter than that.
And now Iowa State's lead has shrunk to 3. Jacobson getting ready to check back in for the Cyclones.
That's why Texas Tech is so good defensively. They'll show the zone, then they'll go to man late in the clock, and that
Wigginton
time makes it happen.
Lindell Wigginton from 3. Just his 10th three-point basket of the year. It's a big one. Back to a 6-point game. Owens, triple team. Looking for help. It's a Texas Tech turnover.
Well, that was good defense by Condon on that play, just to take away that drive to the rim. And Texas Tech doing a pretty good job of just spacing the floor. And there you see Edwards, just that little simple ball screen. Iowa State really not ready to defend. And then Wigginton, they just were standing around themselves. But that's what talented players do, just make things happen out of nothing. A surprise trap on the perimeter. That time Weiler does a better job of finding the open man. And that's why Wigginton's so important, because he has that explosiveness. Recognition, he had to just come to the ball and make something happen.
Shayok drives, looking for Jacobson, got tied up in the paint with Francis. And we've got a timeout here with 7:40 to go and 3 on the shot clock when we come back. Great Saturday slate on the networks. The NBA, college basketball, and of course the UFC debut on ESPN starting at 8 Eastern with Fight Night. And then the big draw at 10 Eastern on ESPN+. Here we are in Lubbock. Clay Matvick, Tim Welsh. And a sold-out crowd. Chris Beard's team has had a great year. 11-1 in the non-conference, 4-0 so far in the Big 12. Games have been tight, though, in league play. They've trailed at the half in 3 of the 4, including tonight. Try to come back here at 7.5 to go. Nick Weiler-Babb just picked up his 3rd for Iowa State.
Well, that's a good job by Texas Tech in this half. Getting to the bonus. They never got there in the first half, but Culver took his time, found a little space, and he is so hard to guard. But at times tonight he's forced the issue a little bit on the offensive end. And he's certainly done his work on the glass with 12 rebounds.
Culver, pretty good free throw shooter, misses that one. Texas Tech, this is an opportunity. Down 6.
Iowa State's got to be aggressive against these traps and not get standing around, because they're such a good passing team. They will find the open man if they attack and look to score.
Wigginton, catch and shoot. In and out. Odiase battling Jacobson for the rebound, and it's going to go to the Red Raiders.
You know, Texas Tech, the last couple minutes, Clay, they've mixed up their defenses. They've had a little 3/4 court press, a little half-court run and jump, and then they're falling back into this aggressive zone, and Iowa State's kind of just staring at it. They're not getting good ball movement or any penetration with the pass or the dribble.
Texas Tech has never opened up a conference season in their program's history 5-0. To come back here late to do it. Here's a guy that needs to pick it up. He's been quiet. Matt Mooney, 5 on the shot clock. Drives around Horton Tucker. Can't finish on the other side of the rim. Odiase misses.
Well, that's not Mooney's game, but he had to try to make something happen at the end of the clock. Just a stagnant possession.
Now Wigginton fouled. That's going to be Mooney's 4th. Matt Mooney got in foul trouble in the first half. Held him to 4 points at the break. He's got 6 total tonight. And he averages 11.
Well, that's the hard thing, and Steve Prohm talked a little bit about it. It's inserting your star player from a year ago, making him fit in chemistry-wise with some of the new things you are doing with new players. But Lindell Wigginton tonight, even though his numbers aren't great percentage-wise, has been aggressive and very positive on the offensive end.
Go inside to Jacobson. Kick it out. Horton Tucker with that fly-by defense in front of him. In and out. Break for Texas Tech. That was halfway down. Jacobson hustling back into the play. Edwards passing up an open 3.
Well, very fortunate Iowa State. They didn't get matched up. Texas Tech had the advantage, didn't take advantage.
Culver lost it. Now Edwards drives. Got it, and one. Now the freshman making a big contribution tonight for the Red Raiders.
Well, you see why they like Kyler Edwards as a freshman. He can shoot the ball from the three-point line, but great footwork, a little ball fake, and then the cross step just blows by the defense. No help on the backside. Really great body control by Edwards.
Texas Tech at the foul line tonight, 1 for 6. So they haven't had many opportunities, and they certainly haven't capitalized on the ones they've had.
Well, with Deshaun Corprew banged up, has not played at all tonight. Edwards making the most of added minutes.
Now 1 for 7 at the line. If Texas Tech gets upset here tonight, that is something they're going to be looking at. Wigginton kicks it out. Halliburton finds Shayok. And now they almost turn it over. Halliburton. Jacobson tied up with Owens. Jump ball. It's going to stay on this end. 1 second on the shot clock. How you doing there, Tim? They came right into your lap.
I was ready to take the charge, just like Dolage did for Syracuse the other night, taking one from Zion Williamson. I don't know how smart that was, but tremendous defensive possession for Texas Tech. They were right on the toes of Iowa State on every pass.
This is the effort we expect in the Big 12 every night. Certainly in this kind of a matchup. Iowa State with a slim lead late. It's an SEC ACC doubleheader Saturday on ESPN at 4. Kentucky takes on Auburn in a top 25 head-to-head, plus Duke at Cameron against the undefeated Cavs. Our Sonic Blockbuster Saturday primetime presented by H&R Block. It's going to be good. Just 1 second on the shot clock for Iowa State.
Well, supposedly the ball was tipped. That's what Ray Natili is saying, and now Bert Smith's gone over to explain it. I think there's not a 1/10 of a second on the shot clock, so there could be less than 1 second. So make sure they just get their hands on a contest. See, that's no good.
Yeah, it was Halliburton that they were trying to free up for the shot, but no time to generate any kind of offense.
There was obviously less than a second. And Chris wanted the shot clock violation because the ball was tipped, but both coaches are up in arms.
So the lead is 4 for Iowa State. Texas Tech trying to avoid the upset. Just 1 loss on the season. They're perfect in Big 12 play so far. Trying to get to 5-0. Mooney couldn't handle that pass.
Probably not a good look. I don't know what Mooney was going to do with the ball down there if he did catch it. He was trying to flash from the weak side down to the box, but he was not open.
Jacobson muscles it up and in, and he'll go to the line. What a job by Jacobson, the redshirt junior from Iowa.
Well, this is where Texas Tech has a weakness when they go small against a bigger team. And Iowa State, great recognition. You'll see Mooney trying to guard the 6'9" Jacobson on the box. No way.
Jacobson from Waukee, Iowa. He was offered a football scholarship at Iowa State before deciding to play basketball at Nebraska. Now has ended up in Cardinal and Gold, but as a basketball player doesn't get the free throw to complete the three-point play.
Chris Beard has a lot of confidence in his team that they can go small and defend, but he smartly gets Tariq Owens back in the game because defensively Iowa State will go right to the rim without a rim protector on the floor for Texas Tech.
Culver's going to go to the line for a 1-and-1 as he's raked going to the hoop. Culver tonight, 12 points, 14 rebounds, his second double-double of the year. As Weiler-Babb is going to check out for Iowa State. Nick Weiler-Babb just picked up his fourth.
That is key because he has done a terrific job on Jarrett Culver all night long. Now, who does Steve Prohm put on? One of the best forwards in this league.
Missed the back end, and Horton Tucker muscles in there for the rebound. There's some pressure, and it's a turnover. But Wigginton gets it right back for the close. Finds Jacobson to lay it in.
Oh, disastrous for Texas Tech, taking advantage of Weiler-Babb not on the floor. Their playmaker, their point guard. Sloppy passing by Iowa State, but Texas Tech couldn't finish it.
Culver will go back to the line as Jacobson just picked up his fourth personal. What a back and forth exchange this was.
Well, we talked about Nick Weiler-Babb being important defensively guarding Culver, but offensively he's the guy that brings it up against the press. But the deflection, they almost steal, but great hustle and awareness by Iowa State.
The free throw shooting has been dreadful tonight for Texas Tech. 3 of 10 after that make by Culver.
Well, Steve Prohm, he's got to really play his cards correctly here in the last 4 minutes, because this man, he has the ability and he will do it, and he has the freedom to attack on every possession. And without Weiler-Babb in the game, they're going to have difficulty keeping him away from the rim.
Tariq Owen's got a hand in there. Almost ended up in the front row. We've got a timeout here in Lubbock. Iowa State trying to pull off the upset on the road tonight in the Big 12.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball, and Papa John's, 2 medium 1-topping pizzas, just $6 each.
Tim Welsh, we said at the top of the broadcast, this has a March basketball type feel here tonight in Lubbock. It's been a great ball game, and it's going to come down to the wire.
Well, Iowa State really has bounced back terrifically after those back-to-back losses up against the Kansas win. So Steve Prohm knew they had to play a complete game tonight to beat Texas Tech on the road, and they played very, very well. But now in the last 3:53, what do? With Jarrett Culver, because Nick Weiler-Babb is back in the game. Can they risk having him defend him on the other end? I don't think so. They're going to have to put somebody else on Culver, and if they don't do a better job on him, they're going to go wild. And now a 5-second call coming out of a timeout, just a cardinal sin.
That is just the 8th turnover tonight for Iowa State, but it's a big one.
You can draw up all the plays you want in a timeout, but the most important thing is obvious. You have to get the ball in bounds.
Third foul on Shayok. And Culver's going to go to the line to shoot 2.
Again, that's what makes Culver so hard to defend, and he hasn't done well at the line tonight, but he is so good moving without the basketball. And that time Shayok was just trying to hold his position on the baseline as Culver was constantly cutting from one side of the floor to the other.
Missed the back end. And the lead is 4 for Iowa State. Weiler-Babb with 4 fouls gets it to Shayok. Got a good look at the rim, but it's out of bounds to Texas Tech.
I thought Shayok probably gave up the open 3 to take the ball in that tough mid-range shot. Look, he's wide open on the 3. Just stop and pop where you're comfortable. This is a great move by Steve Prohm. He's going zone because he does not have anybody on the floor that can stop Jarrett Culver.
Here is Culver going to work on Babb. Jacobson with another huge rebound for Iowa State.
Well, Weiler-Babb, they're trying to hide him and play the zone, but that time Culver attacked him anyway on the wing. good job of presenting some resistance without fouling.
Jacobson 14 points, 8 rebounds for the Cyclones. 10 to shoot. Halliburton, that one was tipped. There's 5 on the shot clock here for Iowa State. They'll keep it with 2:48 to go.
Well, right now, Iowa State's got to get some movement against this zone, and looks like Texas Tech's going to match up, probably do some switching here with only 5 seconds to go on the clock.
Weiler-Babb, defended by Culver on the baseline, can't get a good look to get it in. So Steve Prohm calls a timeout. They have 2 remaining. Back in 30 seconds. Great finish ahead in Lubbock. Iowa State has 5 on the shot clock. They actually have 1 timeout remaining now. Let's see what Steve Prohm draws up here with 5 to shoot.
Well, whatever they draw up, they've got to do a better job of just cutting to get open. They're just struggling to get open against this switching defense.
Weiler-Babb lobs it in too far for Jacobson.
Again, no, the cuts weren't hard, the screens weren't held, and Texas Tech advantage.
South Dakota transfer Matt Mooney. Quiet night offensively, but how about that play by the grad transfer?
Grad transfer, the wisdom. They taught him that well. South Dakota Air Force attacked the man with 4 fouls, and he will not defend like he normally does.
Cyclones lead is down to 2. $15,000 plus in full throat. Off the rim, Jacobson, no. Culver on the run. Culver, you bet. We're tied. Timeout. And it was Chris Beard who called the timeout. Again, he wants to slow this thing back down.
Well, again, this is great coaching by Chris Beard, telling his team, whoever has the ball, if Nick Weiler-Babb is guarding you, to attack, because with 4 fouls, you can see Weiler-Babb's level of intensity on the defensive end have taken a couple steps back, and wisely so, because he's so important on the offensive end. And then Culver in transition, if you don't slow him down early, forget it. It's over.
7-0 run for Texas Tech, but they call the timeout, even though they have the momentum.
Not sure how they were granted the timeout, though, because Iowa State had the basketball already inbounded, and then they granted him the timeout. But Steve Prohm initially argued about the timeout situation, but I think he could use one as well. He's only got 1 left, so he'll take it and say, okay, calm down, take the crowd out of it a little bit. And now they can press. He's got Owens back in the back of the press. And Iowa State's just got to take their time when they get to the rim. They really have struggled finishing easy shots in the last few minutes.
Iowa State 41 points in the first half, just 20 here in the second half. This defense has locked down. 5 to shoot. Weiler-Babb, good looking jumper. And Iowa State goes back in front.
Well, that's why he takes a step back on defense, because he's too important on the offensive end of the floor. And now we'll see what they can do with this guy. He is a freight train.
Culver has it blocked by Jacobson. Halliburton, 2-on-1. The lob to Wigginton.
Goodness.
And the finish.
What a play by the freshman. Halliburton, and then Wigginton. Athleticism.
Mooney. And Owens is going to get to the line. Blocking foul called on Mariel Shayok. And now he has 4 with 51 seconds to go. The lead is 4 for Iowa State. must-have free throws coming up.
That last possession, Culver did a great job again of just finding an angle, getting to the rim. Just unbelievable body control and ball handling ability with both hands. But Iowa State is doing a nice job of sending that second defender, just getting in his way just a little bit to make him miss. And then off to the races, Halliburton. Unselfish confidence as a freshman on the road.
Edwards is going to come back in for Mooney. Owens has another free throw coming.
A little offense defense by Chris Beard, and now Iowa State against this pressure that's going to be presented after the free throw, whether make or miss, but then they don't finish the play on the glass.
Culver rolls off the rim. Weiler Babb with the 4 fouls. Playing aggressive, goes up for the rebound.
On the attack, they've got to hustle though, get it over the line.
And they do. And now a foul on either Moretti or Culver. We'll see.
Well, they have fouls to give. Good aggressive play by Texas Tech.
Now don't forget Sports Center tonight following Pelicans Warriors, and after the buzzer with Stan O'Neill from LA. Chiefs, Pats, Rams, and Saints. They'll talk about that. What the numbers say about James Harden's historic case for MVP. Rachel Nichols' exclusive interview with Boogie Cousins ahead of his long-awaited return. That's tonight at 1 a.m. Eastern. 27 seconds to go. There's another foul against Texas Tech. That's on Francis.
Well, Chris Beard obviously trying to extend the game, and that's the last foul they have to give. Now they can be aggressive and try to get a couple traps out there with a 7-second differential.
This has been a tough thing for Iowa State all night, getting the ball inbounded. They do. Wigginton to Shayok. Shayok, an excellent free throw shooter. No fouls yet. Shayok killing a ton of time, and finally Francis commits the foul. But an extra 3 or 4 seconds ticked off.
I'm not sure Chris Beard wanted to foul in that situation. I think he wanted to just get a look at his pressure, and Iowa State very uncomfortable, not really attacking it precisely, kind of just hoping that they'll get fouled instead of flashing to the middle, finding the open man against a triple team. That's where they have to take advantage and try to get a dunk.
It's a 2-possession game as Shayok, an 86% foul shooter, hits the first. We get a timeout. 16 seconds to go. Each team with 1 timeout remaining. Another free throw coming for Shayok. He'll try to make this a 5-point difference. And what's going on in these huddles here, Coach?
Well, both coaches are really talking about all the different scenarios. But right now for Texas Tech, more importantly, they've got to try to drive it and get it to the rim quickly. And if the defense collapses and comes in on the basketball, they've got to try to kick it and try to get it a quick open 3. They don't want to force the 3-point shot. Now, Iowa State, if I'm Iowa State, I try to slow Texas Tech down. That zone was pretty good for Iowa State on a couple possessions tonight, where it just made Texas Tech stand and look at it for a second. And a lot of coaches are afraid with a lead late to play the zone because of the fact of the 3-point line. But I think that zone can be effective because you're going to make them stand around and you're going to know where the 3-point shooters are. So Steve Prohm right now is going to his best defense and saying, listen, we're going to lock down on the other end of the floor, play good, solid defense. Don't just let them surrender and give an easy layup.
Well, Iowa State, if they can hold on, they'll be in a tie for 3rd place in the Big 12 behind Texas Tech and Kansas. This would be huge for Iowa State, ending a 2-game losing streak, 2 frustrating losses, 2 losses that they had the lead late, let them get away. And for Texas Tech, they're in jeopardy of their winning streak in the Big 12 to start the conference season coming to an end.
Anyone that saw that Kansas game knows that this Iowa State team is talented. Now they've got to try to get a quick one right to the rim.
Culver around Shayok and does just that to score with 8.8 to go. And Texas Tech uses It's the last time out.
See, that's why I think it's okay to play zone late in the game, because you get them just to freeze a second. Now, you got such a great one-on-one play. You see everybody from Iowa State is just kind of watching and hoping and waiting for this game to end and not really playing defense, afraid to foul. Culver takes advantage, goes all the way to the rim easily.
Boy, we talked about Culver a lot here tonight, and rightfully so. I mean, he's been terrific. 20 points, 16 rebounds. Also has a couple of steals. But now Iowa State get back here with a 2-point lead, and invariably they want to get it to Shayok. He's their best foul shooter.
They do, but Steve Prohm's got to have his A+ guaranteed get it in play. And you see here, they're going to force the issue deep, make Texas Tech be honest with the deep ball, and then flash somebody back to the basketball.
Owens guarding that baseline. They got it into Shayok, and he's fouled from behind by Culver.
Now that's a good play, and Shayok kind of playing in the middle of the floor and then kind of faked deep and then came right back to the basketball. And Weiler Babb, excellent player to have inbounding the ball. Smart and tall, can throw over the defense.
Shayok missed his last free throw attempt. Not this time. And now to make it a 2-possession game.
This is why he came to Iowa State, to be the main man down the stretch. And he is a cool cat. He just wants that ball. He wants to make the big play.
His 8th 20-point game of the year. And now Texas Tech really needs to hurry. Mooney. And Iowa State is going to get out of Lubbock with an upset of number 8 Texas Tech. Their 6th win in the last 8 meetings here in Lubbock.
Well, everyone in the Big 12, I think they took notice when they beat Kansas, but then the back-to-back losses surprised everyone. But when they are healthy and they are whole and their chemistry is like it is tonight, Iowa State is one of the elite teams in this conference. 20
points for Shayok, 14 for Jacobson, 68-64 the final. For Tim Welsh and our entire crew, I'm Clay Matvick. We say so long for Lubbock. College basketball continues. UNLV and Air Force.